All right, let's talk about the one thing that can literally save your career as an auditor. I'm talking about your documentation. Today, we are diving deep into SA 230, Audit Documentation. Let's get right into it.
Okay, picture this. You've signed off on an audit. The company looked great, everything was clean. But a year later, bam, it's all over the news for a massive fraud. Suddenly, the regulators are at your door and they are questioning your audit opinion. Your entire professional reputation is on the line. What's the only thing that's going to save you? It's what you wrote down during that audit. This isn't just some textbook scenario. This is the reality of why documentation is so incredibly important.
And let's bring it right back to what matters to you right now, your exams. ICII doesn't want to know that you did the work. They want to see the proof of the work. If you just write, "I verified inventory," I guarantee you that's a zero. You have to prove it. Your working papers are your proof, in the real world and in the exam hall.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. What exactly are we even talking about when we say audit documentation?
So the official definition from SA 230 is right here. But what does that really mean? It's the complete story of your audit in 3 parts. What you did, what you found, and what you concluded. It's like the black box of your audit. You'll hear people call it working papers or work papers. Don't get confused, it's all the same thing. And it is the absolute bedrock of everything you do.
And why do we do it? Well, the standard gives us 2 huge objectives. First, it's all about justifying your audit report. Your paperwork has to directly back up the opinion you're giving. And second, it's to prove you did your job properly, that you actually followed all the standards on auditing and the law. These are the 2 pillars holding up your entire audit. If they're weak, the whole thing comes crashing down.
Okay, now let's build on that. We know the main objectives, but what's the day-to-day purpose? Honestly, you should think of it as your professional armor, your protective shield.
Now this slide right here, this is an incredibly important list for your exams, so pay close attention. The purposes are huge. It helps you plan the current audit, it helps your manager review your work, and it keeps everyone on the team accountable. It's also a record for future audits, and it's what gets checked during quality control reviews and by external inspectors. It's your guide, your record, and your defense, all rolled into one.
All right, let's look at a quick ICII-style problem. Imagine a new junior on your team says, "Hey, these work papers are just for recording what we've already done. They're useless for planning." Is he right? And more importantly, how would you explain why? The answer is a massive, absolute no. And you know this because, as we just saw, one of the primary purposes is to assist in planning. I mean, what's the first thing you do when you start a new audit? You look at last year's files. So the key takeaway here is that documentation isn't just a history book, it's a roadmap for the future.
So we've got the what and the why. Now it's time for the how. How much do you actually need to write down? What should it look like? Let's get into the nitty-gritty details.
This, right here, is the golden rule of audit documentation. You have to burn this into your brain for your exams. It's called the Experienced Auditor Test. And the idea is really simple. Could another qualified auditor, someone who's never seen this client before, pick up your file and understand exactly what you did, what evidence you found, and why you came to your conclusions? If they can, you've passed the test.
So, breaking that test down a bit, what does this mysterious experienced auditor need to understand? Well, 3 things. 1. The nature, timing, and extent of your work. That's the what, when, and how much. 2. The results of your work and the evidence you got. And 3. Any big issues that came up and the critical judgments you made along the way.
So, how much is enough? Well, there's no magic number of pages. It all depends on these 7 factors. A really complex audit of a huge company with high risks? Yeah, you're going to need a mountain of documentation. A simple audit for a small business? A lot less. Basically, the riskier and more complex the situation, the more you need to write.
All right, let's get even more practical. What are the key details that you absolutely must include to create a clear audit trail? Let's break it down. This table lays it out perfectly. For the items you test, don't just say checked invoices. No, you list the specific invoice numbers or the check numbers. You always have to record who did the work and when they did it. And just as important, who reviewed the work and when. Document your important meetings with management. But now, look at this last point. This is the one ICAI loves to create tricky questions on. You must document how you resolved any inconsistencies. If you found evidence that went against your final conclusion, you have to explain how you dealt with it. It's proof of your professional skepticism.
So we know the rules, but what does this actually look like in the real world? What kind of documents actually end up in the audit file? Let's take a look.
Pay close attention to this.
because this is where students often lose easy marks. You absolutely include things like your audit programs, analyses, checklists, and important emails. But what you exclude are things like early drafts, your messy thinking notes, or old copies with typos. Your final audit file should be a clean, professional record. No clutter allowed.
And here's a super important point. Do not get this confused. Your audit work papers are your records of the work you did. They are not a replacement for the company's own books and records. Think of it this way. The company's records are the novel. Your work papers are your book report on that novel. Two totally different things.
Okay, we've covered the what, why, and how. But there is one final critical piece of this puzzle we need to talk about, and that's when to document. This is where so many auditors slip up. The standard is crystal clear. You have to prepare documentation on a timely basis. And this isn't just about being organized. Documenting as you go actually makes the audit better. It means your manager can review your work properly before the final report is signed. Trying to write your working papers weeks after you did the work, that's a recipe for disaster. It's like trying to remember exactly what someone said in a conversation a month ago. You're just not going to get the details right.
And this quote from the standard really says it all. Your memory is not perfect, details fade, documentation that's done in real time is always going to be more accurate and more reliable. Trust me, auditors who wait till the very end to do their documentation always make more mistakes. It's just a fundamental professional habit you have to build.